Won't he do it? Yes, he will. What's going on, everybody? This is your boy, Dr. Will Rogers, a.k.a. Master Teacher 33, and today is Thursday, June the 2nd. Thursday, June the 2nd of 2022, and the time is 1:30 so time. As always, brothers and sisters, got a powerful message scheduled for you today. We're going to jump right in. We're going to talk about how to monetize your emotional triggers. We all get triggered. So we need to break down what is an emotional trigger. And once we get a clear over, under, and understanding, of what an emotional trigger is, then we must under, over, and understand how do we direct, how do we mold, how does emotional triggers work when it comes to, manifesting. Right now, we are manifesting, or we have already manifested everything that is in our life right now. And what we've done, knowingly or unknowingly, is we've activated a certain emotional intensity. And whenever you raise to that level of emotional intensity, you create a connection, knowingly or unknowingly, with that frequency, that wave, that verb, or that vibration. And it is because of this connection with that frequency, wave, or vibration, it draws that into your life. Whether or not you want it in your life or not, the universe just responds to an electrical magnetic intensity. I call that a ruling disposition. So the universe responds to a made-up mind. Now, whether or not we understand that, which is the point of today's message, is to give us a deeper understanding of how we make up our minds. And we don't know that we have made up our minds. We don't know that we have ordered. And so we unconsciously order things with our emotional intensity. And it's extremely important to over and understand when we look at what we call sociopath and psychopathic techniques. These are nothing but, emotional amplification of our DNA, whether that be positive or negative. And when we talk about, understanding emotions, this gets into what is called emotional intelligence. Everybody has a specific emotional intelligence. Your job is to over and understand that swings both ways. There is a high and a low when it comes to your emotional intelligence. A lot of people, we like to talk about the positive aspects of our emotional intelligence, but we never really look at the dark side of our giftedness when we talk about it from an emotional perspective. So if you are aggressive, demanding, egotistical, arrogant, cocky, you should be really the same, except you just want to tweak it and be changed from aggressive to being assertive, from being demanding to being ambitious, from being egotistical to being motivated, and from being strong-willed and bossy to being self-sufficient, and from being confrontational to being decisive. So we want to talk about twerking your EQ or your emotional intelligence in a manner that allows you to operate in the high aspects of your emotional intelligence instead of the low aspect of the emotional intelligence through what is called self-awareness. That brings about this self-regulation. And so once you do this, all of a sudden your entire life changes when you make it as a point to do these two things that I do every day. And what I do is that I get triggered every day like anybody else, whether it's I'm in traffic, whether, it's the kids, whether it's the wife, with family members, someone triggers me. The only thing I've done is now I become aware of it and I decide to regulate it so that way I can direct it. And it's all about the awareness, the regulation, and the direction. This gives you a step-by-step system or the way by which to process pain. Remember, success is the ability to process pain, adversity, disappointment, anything that is unexpected. If you can master the ability to process the unprocessable, because everybody else can't. So you being the one-eyed man or woman in the land of the blind, in the land of the blind. And in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. So your job is just to understand, okay, how do I process negative habit patterns, what, we call adversity, because it's going to happen. So when you lose the fear, concern, animosity, so I'm not concerned about what happens because I have a system in place. And remember, stress, nervousness, anxiety is the lack of a system. It's not events. Events don't cause stress and anxiety. It is lack of knowing how to process stress and anxiety. And so if you have a process that allows you to be able to walk through what we call problems or adversity, then you never have anxiety because you know you got a process. Now, what if the process is not working? Because a lot of times you will have a process in place, you implement the process, and doing this particular event, the process doesn't work. That's when you go back to the awareness, the regulation, and the direction. So when we look at the psychology behind the way by which you and I are able to, process our problems using our emotional intelligence, but what happens in the heat of the battle? Something comes over you. So it is this inability to regulate the thing that comes over you that doesn't allow you to exercise or engage in the process of your problems. And so the problem is never examined because when you see the psychology behind how anger is mismanaged, it's the inability for us to recognize that we are actually already involved in this process. By the time we recognize it, most people it's too late. Because now you're already upset. You're already angry because you didn't start your day off with establishing the ability to be in a solution state instead of a problem state. So remember, every day I am being the solution. I am never being the problem. So the biggest mistake that everybody makes, when I do counseling, I ask people tell me what they're doing, and I immediately ask them who are you being? Now, remember, we are upset and we are angry, which totally takes us out of our power or our electrical magnetic power point. Everybody has power, but I must neutralize your power. And the way that I neutralize your power is to get you to understand or think that a business before pleasure. Not me. I do pleasure doing business. It's a pleasure doing business with you. Now, if you are able to wrap your brain around what I just said, I go into every business encounter. And regardless of the outcome, when I shake the person's hand and I walk away, I let them know that it has been my pleasure during the business transaction. So I am not attached to the outcome of the business transaction. So I cannot be disappointed. And I got to say this again because this is huge. Because what happens is because you have a unrealistic, in most cases, expectation, which creates what is called misplaced dependency. In your life, if you woke up this morning and you had an expectation of me, you are going to be angry and pissed off at me because I'm going to disappoint you. Why? Because I woke up this morning with the intent of having pleasure, getting my rocks off, if you will, if we want to get down and dirty, during business. You woke up this morning and you believe the death code that says work, like I used to teach and preach, before pleasure. You don't work, you don't eat. So I have, as I've talked about on many shows before, set up a cistern or a system where I am in an emotionally amped up state. My wife asked me this morning, like, what the hell is wrong with you? Because last night I went to bed at 3 and I woke up this morning at I think like 5 or 5:30. I'm supercharged. My mind is energized. Because you can't be success and be stressed at the same time. Now, I do shows every day, and I say this to you guys every day. And again, a lot of people are listening, but very few people are hearing. Because faith comes by hearing. Listening don't mean beep. You got to hear me. That means you got to go past the outer court into the holy place, past the brazen altar where you can see God face to face. That's that old Negro spiritual. So what are you saying, Doc? Well, I'm saying to you today that you woke up today and there was a lack of self-awareness, which brings a lack of self-regulation, which brings a lack of self-direction. So I can't have a problem because I have a problem processing machine in place. It's called my brain. So my brain wakes up in the morning with the expectation of a problem. Now, it's not the expectation looking for a problem. It's the expectation because I can solve problems. So what does that mean? Well, most people wake up, they are being the problem. Meaning you're thinking about, damn, the bill's due on Friday. So what you're doing, you are feeding the bill. Unknowingly, now remember this is unconscious. Nobody works and says, bills. Nobody does that. Nobody works and says, God, send me them bills, homie. So I have a spiritual download every day. My brain is full. I have no room for drama, no room for trauma. So when drama shows up, I'm like, what the fuck is this? It's immediately because it's like seeing an albino tiger in the wild. All of the other tigers got black and orange stripes, or whatever color they are. And then here comes a white tiger. And you're like, what? He just stands out. He doesn't camouflage like all the other tigers. So what I'm telling you today is I'm in an electrical magnetic charged state. All my particles are charged. None of my particles are in a particle displacement state. Because I am in a state of pleasure, where it's a pleasure doing business with you. Okay, well, what about the outcome? I don't give a shit about the outcome. If you buy my product, service, and information, if you join the life management system, man, it was a pleasure doing business with you, bruh. Thank you so much for your payment. If you decide, Doc, the shit's whack, bruh, I don't like it. Thank you very much, my brother. Assalamu alaikum, alaikum salam. It was a pleasure during business. So my pleasure comes during business. My pleasure doesn't come after payment. Everybody else, you are tied to the destination. Everything you're doing is to get an effect. Please, hear. Don't listen. See, awareness locks spirit. Awareness is how we select. emotion is how we attract. I gotta say it real slow. You must go and you must embody your divinity. You are a god and a goddess. You cannot afford a negative habit pattern, which is in the form of a thought that says, what are we? You are a problem-solving machine. Just give the problem to the brain. How do you give the problem to the brain? Well, last night we broke down the cheat codes, the light codes, and the optimization codes, where now you got the cheat codes. Now you got the answers to the test. So now you know, based upon last night's message, where I proved to you that this is a death cult. I proved to you that your birth certificate is a death certificate. It's a certificate of live death. Because immediately upon birth, you are assigned a number that makes you a corpse or a corporation inside of cap or capitalism. So I put a cap, a limit on your potential. All certificates, whether it's a birth or death or religion or diploma or marriage, any certificate is a code of death. It changes your DNA because the language in the certificate is a language of maritime law based upon KELL that we broke down last night. So if you missed day one of the Secret Society of Light, you don't got to get this shit from me. Just ask the Big G. What is the cosmic planetary shift that activates my posons that we talked about last night? It's called the jumping genes. So I don't need CRISPR-9. So see, the PCR test can't work on me because my genes are on a different timeline that we broke down last night. So I'm not connected to the unknown energy. I understand radionics. And once you understand, overstand, and understand how the system works, now your DNA is transformed into a problem-solving machine where you have, I'm going to use the word sex, during the act. In other words, you having an orgasm during the act. The orgasm is not after the act. So you have built in spinal cord, sacred fire, vehicles of consciousness that are released randomly and periodically throughout whatever process you are engaged in. So right now, dopamine is being released in my brain spontaneously, periodically. I am impregnating the air with my consciousness. I am engaged in conscious sex right now. I'm having an entire orgy in my brain. All of my neurons are buck naked running around. It's like the Greeks back in the day. It's an orgy going on in my brain right now. That makes me feel massive. So everybody else is waiting to get into the flow state. Most people are in stress. They are in struggle. They are in suffering. I am in message, model, and marketing. I don't do stress, struggle, and suffering. I do a message, model, and marketing so I can get my money. And it's based upon certainty, empathy, which is my call. This is my destiny. I've already exited the artificial matrix. All of my phonons and my photons are in infinity. This is the vibrational rapture. All of this means is that just like you, bad shit happens to me every day. I get triggered. Little shit. Socks in the floor, dishes in the sink. Kids got a dog and never walking. Say, did you guys walk the dog today? Well, So if I did not have this problem processing 24-hour dopamine releasing, core valued protecting, spiritually alive, emotionally mature, frequency wave and vibration, I would be in deep chemistry because I would be pissed off every day over little shit. I'd be worried every day over something because there's always something going on. So I wouldn't know my verbs. I would not be able to establish my vibe. Therefore, I wouldn't be able to build my tribe. I could not offer my tribe my vibe. And therefore, I wouldn't be an asset or a benefit to my tribe. So therefore, I would not receive the energy, or the money, because I don't have no formula. I don't have no formula. So I cannot get no moolah because I don't have no formula. So everybody on this call, we have to level up emotionally. We can no longer be emotionally immature gods. We can no longer be gods with amnesia. Your emotional triggers are the result of unhealed trauma. That unhealed trauma, I'm pushing your buttons and I'm reminding you of your mama or your daddy or your reverend or your doctor. Something I'm saying, something I'm doing is triggering you. That's why I like cursing. I used to hate cursing. And my son used to always trigger me. And he loved cursing. To this day, that little mother, he's the only one of my kids, and my other kids know, they're like, and they tell him, Dad don't like that, man. Why are you disrespecting him? And so I couldn't have a relationship with my son. 25 years, I didn't have a relationship with my son. 24, however old he is. Until I had to do what I'm telling you. Now, he dropped F-bombs. I hear the music. Mother this, mother that. But guess what? It doesn't affect me anymore. Because I had a belief system that says cursing is performing a curse. And it is if you believe that. So since it's done unto me as I believe, I stop speaking, I stop spelling, I stop saying, I stop performing a seance that changed science. So that now I can go back to selling based upon my script. So I was allowing somebody to speak to me and it would change me. Stop that shit, please. I'm begging you. Stop allowing me to speak to you and change you. I should not. Nobody should have that power over you. You should never allow nobody to speak to you and change you unless they're dropping some serious knowledge. So when people speak, I listen. And then if they say some good shit, I start hearing. But if they just talk, want, praise Jesus, I heard that shit already. Next. So I got a process in place that solves problems. But I still haven't addressed the issue that brings about engagement and activates the intergenerational trauma cycle. So everybody is called from today forward, you are going to be an intergenerational trauma cycle breaker. You're going to break all the trauma in your family. When you go around your family, they're going to be like, oh, shit. I used to trigger Sister Addie. I can't. That button, I used to always punch that button. That button been working since childhood. Now, it doesn't work. Why? Number one, Sister Addie has contact with charity, what we call love. Number two, that puts Sister Addie on the electromagnetic path. We call that shit empathy. And number three, Sister Addie now has an inner dialogue of love language. So let me give you my problem processing formula that allows me to tell everybody it was my pleasure. Damn, I don't know about you. I got off. Did you finish? Shit, my bad. That sucks to be you. Because guess what, boo-boo? It was a pleasure doing business with you today. You should say, well, shit, doc, I ain't buying nothing. My dopamine is not attached to a destination. My dopamine is attached to a process. Ooh, wait, come on, preacher. So I get on the treadmill. I don't give a shit if I lose weight. I go to the gym and people look at me and they say, well, you be lifting weights hard, bro, but you ain't got no bigger. Nigga, well, I ain't trying to get bigger. My dopamine is not released when I measure my biceps. Every man I know cannot release dopamine unless he grows. Me? My dopamine is not attached to no destination. So when I wake up in the morning, I'm not expecting shit from you, your mama, your daddy, your monkey, your squirrel. I mean, not your person, of course, but you know. Because why? I healed my unhealed trauma. Now, my electrical magnetic triggers, they amplify me. So I love when people try to trigger me now. Ooh, this is fun. But I mean, it's fun. Why? Well, every day is an erection day for me. Ooh, wait, I can kind of tell y'all, man, this whole world is it's a sex cult. But most people, they got limp noodles. Now, the noodles are limp because they're not amplified. I do shit that amplifies me. That's why I stay erect. Now, you hang out with people, like maybe you like skinny girls, and you hanging out with BBWs. Now, I ain't, no disrespect, I like BBWs. Let's keep it real. But I like skinny chicks too. So I don't gotta hang up. Anyway, you bless me, Lord, I'll be satisfied. So I don't have a destination of BBW. I don't have a destination of black. I don't have a destination of white. I don't have a destination of Hispanic. In fact, I think I've dated pretty much almost damn near every race. Let me think. Yeah, Japan, I was over there. Philippines, yep. Chinese. No, I think that's about the only one. African, Native Americans, Hispanic. Shit, I know. Why though? Well, I'm not like Dr. Umar Johnson. I'm for black people, but I'm not against white people. So therefore, I ain't interested in the color of the skin. I'm interested in the content of the character. But we got a conundrum though, Doc. You don't understand. Every time somebody comes around, man, this shit happens to me. It triggers me, brother. Praise Jesus. And it pisses me off, man. Well, the psychology of emotional intelligence states that you are not in a state of self-awareness. Therefore, you cannot be in a state of self-regulation. Everything starts with self-awareness and self-regulation. Now, you should be saying to yourself, Doc, I already got that down, brother. I am aware of myself. Well, that means that you do not have crystal clear clarity of yourself. That means that you got to be somebody else. Triggers are keeping you in a different mental state. You're supposed to be being the solution. You're not supposed to be a caretaker. You're not supposed to be a perfectionist. You're not supposed to be an overachiever. You're not supposed to be an isolationist. You're not supposed to be a fixer. But you, pretty much everybody on this call, are in one, if not all, of those states. Now, I am asking you, please get out of those states. How? Be the solution. So the solution is found in love. So the first thing you got to do is you got to be love. Now, you should ask me, Doc, what is love? Love is whatever excites you that does not hurt, harm, or defraud someone else. Someone, I mean person, place, things, animals, trees, blah, blah, blah. You do not have the right to please yourself at the expense of someone else. Now, I wish this was taught everywhere because this would solve all the problems on the planet. You do not have the right to please yourself at the expense of someone else. Now, I gotta say this again because remember, you are signed unknowingly a contract with death. And so you are unknowingly, your DNA, your telomeres on your DNA, they are unraveling. And if you don't get this shit before your telomeres unravel, and if you don't stop and slow down the speed by which your telomeres are unraveling, you're going to DYE. And you got to come back and try this shit again with my temporary psychosis. It's called mytemcosis, which is a psychological term that means re-erection. You got to return because the erection you got, it wasn't stiff enough. We'll put it that way. So how do you get a stiff erection? Well, you should like what you see. That's going to create electricity and magnetism in thee, which allows you to go, you're going to speak softly. You don't want to hurt, harm, or defraud. So, no, I am not going to wait until after we finish business to have pleasure. I don't do business like that. And I'm not sorry. Everybody, they don't enjoy work. They don't enjoy their problem-solving process. That's work. Most people don't enjoy molding mass or matter. Most people don't enjoy manipulating the ether. It requires effort. It's the craziest thing to slice bread. Like I tell my wife all the time, because she has to put forth effort. And I said, quit. And she said, I can't. I said, why not? I can't trust. Well, who can't trust? I can't trust you. I said, why would you trust me? She said, you can make more money gardening than I'm making money sitting on my ass talking. Because everybody got to eat. But if there's a lack of identity of the self, then you're going to take and put your responsibility on someone else. That's going to make you feel what? Emotionally unstable. Why? You got unknown energy in your life. You require an unknown entity. You have unrealistic expectations, and you have misplaced dependency. You're depending upon somebody else to do the shit that you should be doing for yourself. Like my sister told me, she activated an emotional trigger. She said, bro, get your own shit. And I remember I told you guys the story. And that was a light bulb moment for me. Why? I had a unrealistic expectation and I had misplaced dependency. Just because you find someone who's willing doesn't mean that you should allow them to be able. So most people do not know how to use their emotional triggers to monetize them. So the way that you monetize your emotional trigger is to use your electrical magnetic power points. These electrical magnetic power points are in the air. Notice the Bible says the prince of the power of the air. The prince has no power. The air has the power. That's why you can pull unlimited energy out of thin air. If you read, again, my boy Tom Bearden, his book, The Vacuum, or the young Nigerian kid, a lot of people have pulled unlimited energy out of thin air. What does that mean, Doc? Well, in the air, there's an unlimited supply of energy, just there available for anybody. That unlimited supply of energy, of wealth, health, wisdom, and relationship is in the ether. You just got to tap in. You just got to plug in. How do you plug in? Well, you plug in by transforming your thoughts and your emotions to match what it is that you're plugging into. So everything has a specific frequency, a specific number that we're breaking down tonight when I give you your own light codes. So your light codes, as we talked about last night, turns on your remember it means to transpose, but the word transpose has the letter O-N on it. So in biology, it's called transpose on. So you are supposed to transpose your code onto the ether. but we're not. The ether is transposing its code on to you. So right now, your emotional level is too low. So the guy that has the highest emotion is the guy that runs the show, or the gal. So I just make sure every room I go in, I may not be the tallest, I may not be the smartest, I may not be the biggest, but I am the most emotional. Now you should be saying to yourself, hold on, Doc. I just said we're not supposed to have emotion. You're supposed to have electricity and magnetism that controls your ocean. That's what I mean by emotion. So I'm not talking about love and hip hop, when you throwing water on people's face and you cursing people out and you fighting and you doing all of this low vibrational activity shit. That is not what I'm talking about, boo-boo. I'm talking about self-awareness that brings about self-regulation, brings about self-direction. You can't gaslight me, bruh. So I don't care what you do. It's not going to work. Why? My mind is full. I have no room for your shit. Not you personally, but you know. So I don't got room for people to gaslight. So it's like ting, 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 ting. So it goes in one ear and out the other. What does that mean? That means that my being state cannot be influenced by your energy state. Why? I'm on a higher level. So remember, if you're on 432 and you hit a 24, all of these 24s that are on 432 vibrate, regardless of distance. All the other 24s that are on different frequencies do not. So I'm on what frequency? Number one, love. That activates number two, empathy. So I can do number three, my love language. That's my problem solving. That's my 3 steps to solving every problem. But we still have a big problem, Doc. You still did not answer. How do we get on our love level? Because somebody's gaslighting me or love bombing me, or somebody is doing some other, psychological technique, knowingly or unknowingly, and it's affecting my emotional response habit. So that means that I cannot make contact with empathy. I cannot make contact with love. So therefore, my inner dialogue is not one of love. I'm telling myself, damn, you stupid. Or, shit, man, this is all your fault. Or, you know what, man, it's the white man's fault. It's that effing Joe Biden's fault, man. Ever since that dude got in office, man, he's got effing up everything. We should bring Trump back. Then when Trump gets in office, oh, shit. It should be Trump's fault, man. We need Obama back. When we bring back Obama, oh, shit. We need to bring back Bill Clinton. It's always somebody else's fault. Because there's no positive feedback dopamine loop. This is the smoking gun. The smoking gun is the positive feedback dopamine loop. Father test the mind, will, emotion, imagination, intellect of your people. If you do not have a positive feedback, energy, or emotional, I like to use the word dopamine because the word dopamine means dope, mind. Dope on the mind, M-I-N-D. Put some dope on your mind, homie. So I stay doped up. If we'll use that term. I stay amped up. Because remember, my brain is in a constant state of an orgy. So I'm having my brain, all my neurons are engaging in sex with each other. There's a big orgy going on in my head. But the brain is in an orgasmic state because my neurons are all firing together. And they are all wiring together. Neurons that fire together, wire together. And that gets me out of brain fog. Pretty much most people are in a state of brain fog. Brain fog is just the result of mental confusion or lack of focus or lack of mental clarity. That again. Brain fog is the result of too many minds, aka rely on. That means you got Well, doc, I don't know, brother. I think I'm going to do this. I think I'm going to do that. So you don't have crystal clear clarity. Enter brain fog. So the problem is lack of mental clarity. Everybody is getting triggered. So when I get triggered, I have immediate clarity of what? I can't go fight this dude. My mind is full of Dear Connect reports. Like, Jim, I want to go over and whoop your ass, man, but shit, I got a show to do, man. I don't got time. My bad. So I'm gonna let you win. Just, yeah, that's right, punk. You better get your car. You better get your car. Gosh, I'm making too much money, man. I can't bruise up my delicate hands on your hard ass head. And ammunition costs money, man. So I did instead of putting that bullet in your head, I might need that bullet for later on. My mind is full. But we still got another problem, Doc. Even people whose minds are full, they hate what their mind is full of. So this is the difference between documenting versus creating. I don't create shit. I just document. People tell me, Doc, I don't know what to do in the morning. I don't know what video to make. Really? Shit, I wish I had that problem. I create too many products. I got 5,000 products right now. I'm looking for people to help me market and manage these products by representing my brand in the marketplace. Why? I can't represent all 5,000 products by myself. I mean, I've been doing pretty good, but damn, I'd be a billionaire if I get a team around me that see worth and value in themselves. Why? Because everything I'm talking about, it's the same thing you're talking about. Our vision, they intermingle. So, first thing, I just met Sister Stephanie Mo Davis. Sister Stephanie just said to them, you're talking about the mental aspects of mental health, especially when it comes to people who are suffering from or have to encounter somebody inside of the current health system. This is not disease or health care. This is disease or health management. Nobody's trying to really heal nobody. They just want to manage. They want to make you comfortable while you die. So, you just should it in health management. But I need some health care. In other words, I need actually healing. So, what does that mean? Well, we both saying the same thing. So when Sister Stephanie asked me to be on her show or have her on my show, it's a no-brainer. Why? Iron sharpens iron. So we all are saying the same thing, but we still have a conundrum. We're competing against each other. See, we're supposed to complement each other. So Sister Stephanie compliments me, and I compliment her. So when they do a show, I post it on my page. Why? If Sister Stephanie makes money, eventually I'm going to make money. Because it ain't about money. What is money? Money is helping other people. You can't be broke if you're helping other people. So we have a problem. So we go back to what I said at the beginning of this message. And I'm praying to God that you get it. My brain has a random, intermittent dopamine releasing mechanism. So I'm excited because I don't know when the dopamine is going to be released, but I know it's coming because my dopamine is tied into the pleasure. I take pleasure in doing business. So when I meet people, I tell them, and this should be your mantra, sir, ma'am, it is a pleasure doing business with you. What you are saying is you are programming your brain to release the dopamine during the business. Everybody releases their dopamine on payday. What if you got paid every 15 minutes of the day? This is out of my book, The Eagle's Workflow. I developed this shit when I was in college. I couldn't study. I couldn't stay at work. The shit was boring. And I read a book, Where There Is a Will, There's an Ache. And the guy talked about how his son, who was flunking out of college, and he was the head of the college. He was the dean at Arizona. I forgot the guy's name. The title of the book is called Where There Is a Will. My name is Will, by the way. There is a way. So I know there's a way for me to grind. What I'm doing right now, sitting in my drawers making money, I knew 10 years ago, 15 years ago, that there was a way. So I set up a random, intermittent dopamine releasing system. Now, it is called a positive feedback loop in psychology. I don't like using their terms. I like to make up my own. Because well, the doctor just regurgitating some other shit. I Googled it on Google Doc, and that's why I use my own words. Thank you very much. So I have a positive feedback dopamine loop. So what does that mean? That wasn't it. Well, everybody say, well, I'm sorry. I have a book called Work Before Women. I don't promote that book. I threw it away. Even though I wrote it. Because why? I got conned too. Remember, I used to believe Old Testament shit too. But that was I was young, dumb, and stupid. Now I realize, I know God made man, God gave man a work before a woman. Okay, that's cool. No problem. But when you are tied into a destination, you have destination addiction. That means that you're always chasing the white rabbit, like in the Matrix. What does that mean? That means that you program yourself to always create problems for yourself because you have to get your dopamine. The feel-good chemicals of the brain must be released. That is how we, again, two things, Maslow, we do everything to avoid pain and experience pleasure. What if you can experience pleasure while in pain? What if you can experience pleasure while in pleasure? So, in other words, when I lose, I win. When I lose money, dopamine. When I make money, dopamine. When I don't do nothing, dopamine. So I'm always in an ecstatic state. I'm always in a very excited state. Like my wife tells me every day, we've been together for a very long time, and she's still trying to figure me out. Because she don't know how, because she's one of the people that got to sleep 8 to 10 hours a day. There's a lot of people like that. There's nothing wrong with that. Because some people are designed by God. That's what I'm not talking about anyone. Whether it's you, me, I'm a 6. My wife's a 4. What are you? So you are flawed on purpose for a purpose. So the point is to monetize your flaws. I don't give a damn what they are. Get paid. How do we get paid, Doc? The way that you get paid is to understand the psychology of your emotional intelligence. That means that you have to be, number one, self-aware. You're not aware of yourself. That's why tonight we continue to break down how to establish, again, the being state. What do you mean? Everybody wants to identify the problem. That's cool. Identify the problem. Take your time. When you get done, throw that shit away. Why? When you identify, that's why I don't like modern psychology. Because they want to find the problem. Now, it's great if you want to find the problem, but like Dr. Sadie says in health, all health problems basically are a lymphatic problem. It's a lymph node problem. It's a mucus problem. So guess what? I don't give a damn what you call it, the base, the cause of it. There's 1,000 diseases. All of them are caused by the same thing. The mucus in the body that you ain't getting it out. It could be because of stress. It could be because of diet. There's a lot of causes to cause the body to hold on to mucus. The biggest thing is you ain't taking out the trash. Now, we can talk about how many diseases are there. Anybody know? Shit, I don't know. Like, how many gods are there? You got Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, Hare Krishna. How many gods are there? There's a plethora, but there's only one cause. Nobody talks about that. Everybody talks about the problem. What's the problem? If you identify with the problem, guess what you happen? See, whenever you identify, you verify. I ain't trying to verify poverty, homie. So I don't identify with poverty. So if you talk to me about your bills, that means that you telling me that I want more bills. If you telling me, Doc, I have ABC disease, you owning that. You said I have. I don't have shit that wealth, health, wisdom. I can go to the doctor. He can say, Doc, you're gonna die in 30 days. I would never confess that shit. I would go to my grave, but I would never speak it. I would never spell it. I would never say it. I would never science it. I would never seance it. I would never sell it. And I damn sure ain't gonna write no script for it. So no, I don't need your prescription. Now, I'm cut from a different cloth. I have PowerPoints built into my day every 15 minutes of my day. I'm getting zapped. I just don't know when it's coming at 10 minutes, 12 minutes, 13 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. I get zapped. I'm getting zapped. But the zap is good. I'm having an orgasm. So every day, I have orgasms all day, every day, 24/7, 365. How do you do that? Well, the way you do that is there is a certain emotional intensity that everybody has that is their trigger. Your emotional intensity is different from mine. See, once that trigger point has been reached, your electrical magnetic ocean will automatically attach itself to the nearest power point, which supplies it with the electrical flow. This is from my book, Etheric Force, by the way, which supplies it with the energy, aka entity, to manifest it. Let me say it again real slow. Once the trigger point has been triggered, whether the trigger is angry, like my sister told me when I was kicked out, moved in, I'm out, the love of my life. Left my wife, moved in with somebody else. 3 months later, my black ass was on the street. Called my sister Linda, was like, hey, I need someone to stay. She's like, Kieran, you need to get your own shit. That triggered me, because, like, man, that's my sister, man. I have my own sister. She got a big-ass house. I can't go live with her. Not that I would have anyway. Said, well, me and Christian up here, blah, blah, blah. My dad, my biological father was around then. He said, yeah, boy, you come over here. I got a room in the back. I'm like, what the hell am I look like going back to my hometown? Broke, busted, and disgusted. Hell no. So I took my black ass back to Richmond. Back to San Antonio, where I was from. Came back home. It's my house. My name was on the lease. You see how it thought? Well, yeah, you guys know the story. I love telling the story. As y'all know, I say the story every chance I get. Every chance I get. The wife had her high school sweetheart move in. The nigga was standing at the door. He was like, you don't live here no more, boy. Had his Mercedes-Benz parked in my driveway. Now, I was walking. So I didn't have to catch the bus. You talk about humbling. So those was a plethora of emotional triggers, as you may already know. So what did I do? Well, I did the same thing I'm telling y'all to do. That's what I'm telling you, because this shit works. Now, this wasn't the first time. Y'all know I did this 25 times my first marriage. Yeah, that's right, 25. Y'all should do the math. That's what I told y'all. Remember, I was clinically diagnosed. So I got a legitimate excuse for my stupid. So I came back and I made a promise to myself. Because in that state, like I did when I was 13, when my mom died, and I walk in the streets of Richmond, I said, I ain't taking no more ass whoopings. I ain't lost a fight since then. Why? I made a contract with an entity. Now, that entity may be benevolent. It may be non-benevolent. At that point in time, I ain't give a beat. Some of y'all guys got values and morals and religion. I don't have those issues. There are unlimited ley lines on this earth, as we talked about last night. Each ley line emits crazy energy. If you live, well, you can't live on a ley line because they're covered up by all football stadiums and all monuments, and the government owns the land, and they turn it into national parks. Now, if you do the research on a ley line, the body has ley lines in it too. So I just activate the ley lines in the body. Those ley lines in the body are inside of the blood. That's what the Bible says. The life of the flesh is in the blood, which we'll be breaking down later on tonight or tomorrow. No, that's tomorrow night. So my blood has crystals in it. They are amulets. They're amplifiers. So all I do is there's certain topics. I'm going to use the word subjects. They are called motivated abilities subjects or motivated abilities patterns in psychology. Now, I don't have time to go over that. All I'm telling you is you got one. In fact, some of you guys got a plethora. You are what is called, you were born a subject matter expert. Now, nobody told you that you was an SME. So I'm here to tell you the good news that you are a subject matter expert. Now, a subject matter expert is a person who is an authority. Let me say it again. Jesus spoke as one who had authority because he was an SME. He was a SME. Now, on your job, you probably got a SME. That SME, when you got a problem, like my wife's a SME at her job. All of the people they come in, they got a problem with processing, planes, blah, blah, blah. They call, because she's the lead, a subject matter expert. But you are SME too. But what is your motivated? I'm trying to help you today. See, y'all not motivated. That's why I can't sleep. I'm motivated. Now, I sleep, but I don't sleep like other people because my brain don't turn off. I'm glad it doesn't turn off because I got shit to do. I'm highly motivated. So you got a motivated abilities pattern or trigger. So what is your motivation or your motivated? Because in behavioral psychology, remember I do neural behavior. So in behavioral psychology, they talk about there's 3 behavioral change points or elements that motivate people. Now, I'm not going to get into the psychology of it because you can't pay your life bill with that. But there is a facilitator, there is a signal, and there is a spark in neuropsychology. So we look at the psychology or the neuroscience behind the motivated abilities pattern. There is a motivated abilities trigger. Every time that particular subject, me, as you guys already know, one of my motivated ability subjects is rely on. Y'all call that shit religion. You should ask yourself why. That's a trigger. Why? Well, my mama died because of religion, and I kind of needed her around. So that kind of pissed me off. So I was a little dude. I was angry. So I had the short man disease when I was little because I was pissed off because I thought my mom just checked out because, she was like, I won't be a mama no more. Now, I remember I was a kid. Cut me some slack. So I did not know that my mom just didn't decide that, you know what, I'm tired of being a mother to these badass kids, especially that little Willie over there. So I'm just going to check on out of here. I don't think that's what she said. So I did not understand when I was a child the pattern of my strength. Like Samson's strength was where? It was in his hair. Hair is a spiritual antenna. It's an extension of the spinal cord. Right now I'm talking to you, and do you know what your passion and your purpose, do you know how to identify and leverage your giftedness? So I do how to identify and how to leverage giftedness reports. So once you see the innate, inborn, predetermined freaking design that allows you to shine, come on, man. Problems, where y'all at? Bring them. Come on, devil. Where you at? Come on, devil. Where you at? You don't want none of this, bro. Devil hides from me. No devil will talk to me. Trust me. I've been to freaking witches. I've been to seances. I've been to blood orgies. They asked me to please leave, sir. The last witch I talked to got so frustrated. She came to me with this hocus pocus shit. So we had a test. She said that she could, and I told her, I don't know if I can tell you all of it, but she says she's going to visit me in my sleep. She's going to do some of this, that, and the other. She's going to put a spell on me. She's going to make this happen to me. Bad things going to happen, blah, blah, blah. I said, really? She said, yep, in 30 days, because remember, I was pretty much raised by a witch. Sister X had and did. Now remember, no witch calls themselves a witch. Very few. A real witch would never say, hey, I'm a witch. That's not how it works. The way that it works is that they get into your intent. A real witch hijacks your intentions. And they let you think you winning. So you drop your guard. And then that's when they drop the hammer on you. Because they get into your emotional soul. And I wrote a whole book on emotional soul ties. How to overcome emotional soul ties. Because a lot of people are emotionally connected to ex-wives, ex-husbands, ex. And those emotions limit you from being you. So most people have intergenerational trauma that's cyclical or cyclical. Like I did when I was growing up. I mean, for 25 years, every September, I crashed and burned. I lost my job. Cars got repoed. My ex-wife wrote all this shit down. She's the journal. I said, one of the days I'm going to have her on the show. Because I know y'all be thinking, Doc, just making this shit up. So what are you saying, Doc? I'm expressing to you the importance for you to establish a being state that has nothing to do with your doing. So what does that mean? You go to work. That's what you do. What is your mental discipline while you are at work? That's what you be. Nobody is doing and being the same thing. At least I'm having a difficult time finding them. Most people are, when they're at work, they are actually heating. Because they don't want to be at work. Like I tell my wife, because if you don't want to go to work, why do you go to work? Well, I got bills. Well, there's other ways to generate capital. Do you know that most people would rather work in a place that they hate instead of take responsibility and manipulate the ether or the air? Because the definition of the word manipulate or manage or control. Now remember, God gave you 5 superpowers that are inside of the 5 modules that we just finished. Your number one superpower, you can govern the air. Because remember, this power is not for other people. It's for you to extrapolate whatever you need out of the ether, the air, out of thin air. You should be able to pull shit out of thin air. How? Number 1, you got to self-govern. Number 2, you got to self-rule. Number 3, you got to self-control. Self. See, we like to control everyone else, but without saving the concept, we don't want to control ourselves. So guess what happens? You project. What does that mean? You want me to do for you what you should be doing for yourself. Now, let me say it again. You want the government to do for you. God has given you everything that you need for life and godliness. That's why I am, like Dr. Jerome, I'm happily unemployable. Can't employ me, bro. I'm unemployable. Happily. Because I have self-control. So do you. Whether you use not a different story. Then I have self-management. I can manage myself. I don't need a manager. Thank you. Supervisor, well, what can a supervisor do for me? I'm self-sufficient, homie. Last but not least is lead. I can lead myself. So I don't need TDX or crypto dollars. No disrespect. I don't need Joe Biden. I don't need the Congress. What the Congress going to do for me? Laws are for the lawless. People who can't control themselves got to be controlled by someone else. That's why I used to be a cop. And I would arrest people who couldn't, you ain't got no self-control, put your hands behind your back, please. Let me you have the right to an attorney. Anything that you can will be used against you in a court of law. Cannot afford an attorney? One will appoint it to you. You see, brothers and sisters, you have been given everything that you need for life and godliness. All homes, all buildings are like the Great Pyramid. They are built on points. Excuse me. These points have extreme energy that we call gravity that produces strange effects on these buildings. It holds them in place. The same way gravity works to hold you and every building in place is because it is a place of concentrated energy. When you have an emotion that's attached to any type of intensity, whether that intensity is extreme love or hate, you are placing an order in the universe. You are now attaching yourself to the nearest energy or entity. And it's going to supply you with an energy flow to manifest that intent. That's why people can go over there. There's a bad accident. The car is on top of the loved one. They go over there and pick that car up off the loved one. Y'all have all seen the videos. They get superhuman strength because they tap into the energy that's in the ether. That's why Tesla could put a light bulb in the ground, zing, and it would turn on. Because he knew the ley line that had concentrated energy all throughout the earth. You can go to Google, type in ley lines, and then you can look at the ley lines in the United States. So in San Francisco is a major ley line. That's why there's a lot of LGBTQ, XYZ, XYZ, to the P, to the Y movement. It's in San Francisco. It's like in Louisiana. You got B.B. King singing the blues. Singing the blues. That's why we got rhythm and blues. Anybody know what blues mean? Why would you sing that? Well, obviously the Negroes didn't know shit about seance and fade. I ain't saying I'm tired. I'm not saying negativity about myself. Everybody on this call believes that you must do business before pleasure. Everybody believes, because the Bible says, if a man does not work, he does not eat. Well, I'm the only man that don't work and eat. Because I understand the definition of what workaholic never means erdogan. And the word erdogan, if you look it up again, this is in your Bible. So they changed the definition of the words to do what? They gave you definition. So that way, this is a death code, as we talked about last night. So everybody who used these words, you are going to die. So that's why you die. The only reason that you die is because you're programmed to die. You're not designed to die. So I'm operating according to my design. That's the program. So no, on my birthday, don't celebrate my birthday, because that's a death cult. You can say happy birthday and say, Doc, oh, you 30 again. Yep, I'll take that. So for the next 150, 200, 1,000 years, I'm going to be 30. I have deemed it so. Why? Well, I get to write my own script. This is my play. So they tell you the program, and we all accept it. Nobody challenges it. With what? Their thought. So I decided that I am going to have pleasure doing business. So Every client, they go to me, they say, hey, man, I'm interested in your program. I send the information. Check out my website, man. We want you to join Life Management Center. Cost is $1,000. You know, we can do it in 3 monthly payments, 6 monthly payments. Comes with 50 books. You get your 750-page deal community report. You have one-on-one counseling with yours truly. And they look over it and say, well, Doc, you know what? I don't know if it's right for me right now, brother. Man, it was a pleasure. Damn, I had a good time. Woo! I just blew my cookies. It was a pleasure during the business, not after. Do I give a shit if you join? No, I do not. Now, you should ask yourself a big question. Now, how the hell you going to pay your bills, homie, if nobody pays you? I love that question because, see, the money doesn't come from people. It comes from source. Do you guys know that most of the time, my money doesn't come from the clients? Most of my money doesn't come from clients. A lot of my money will come from, like, when I had the Customer Bookstore Learning Center, and had a contract with the Bureau of Prisons. Why? I used to work for the Bureau of Prisons. So I had and the reason that we started the open mic and spoken words, well, they did a study and they found out the inmates that expressed themselves verbally was, I forgot the number, almost 60% less likely to express themselves physically. So the prison was paying me to let the inmates come over there and take the stage and speak and do poems and spoken word and open mic. Then I had a lesbian church group. Nobody would let them sing, use their building or anything. They were lesbians. And it was really funny because when they came in, I didn't get it. I was telling they was having a service, they rented the building. And I'm like, damn, that's interesting. I wonder where all the husbands at. I mean, I was so clueless, it was crazy. I mean, y'all got to forgive me. That was like, that was a long time ago. And my wife just started laughing. She, the pastor is married to the deacon. And the choir director is banging half the people in the choir. I'm like, but shit, they are women. And then I was like, look at the name, and I was like, oh shit. I honestly didn't know. I just thought that there was no, because most men don't go to church. So I just thought it was a church full of women. Would it change my view? Did it change how I view them? Not at all. Man, what you do in your bedroom, I don't care. That's between you and you, boo-boo. But somebody else, would you rent out your facility to a church that's full of women? How many of y'all got belief systems? Oh, praise Jesus, brother. I'm not doing that. It goes against the Bible. Well, see, I don't got that. I process problems. What do? They needed a building. I had one. Problem solved. Next. See, when you solve people's problems, people pay you money. It's the craziest shit I've ever seen in my life. I don't understand it. I just know it works. So, shit, I've been doing it for a long time, from the show. So all I do is I just put, hey, I solve these specific problems. You want to lose 30 pounds in 30 days? Holla! Oh, you want to find your identity? Hit me up. Oh, you tired of being in a bad relationship? You want to know why Jim Bob don't respect you? Why your man cheats on you? Ring, ring. Ladies, I wrote a whole book, 7 things that no woman knows about no man. I never talked about the book. Because everybody is where they're at. Because consciously or unconsciously, that's where they want to be. We're all comfortable. All I did was just decided to make myself uncomfortable. And by making myself uncomfortable, I became comfortable. And the way that I did that was, number one, I decided, you know what? F the world. I'm going to love you. That's all I did. That's plan. I just decided that, you know what? Sister Diane, everybody was telling me, my brother, you can't do this, brother. You can't do that. Christians don't do this. Black men don't do this. I was like, shit, well, what do I like? So I did that for a while, and I got burned out. Then I changed the game, and I asked, what likes me? But I didn't know. So I read this book a long time ago. It was called Witchcraft, like the word witchcraft. I thought it said witchcraft, but it was W-I-S-H. It's by Barbara Shear, S-H-E-R. And I did me a mind map. Then I read another book by, what's the old boy's name? His name was Arthur. I forgot, what was his name? Arthur Miller, that's right. There's a book written by Arthur Miller. And it was called something about identifying, or how to identify. He had a system called I remember the name of it. It was S-I-M-E. And I took it because it was a requirement of the job that I had. And I did the D system because that was a requirement at the job that I had, D-I-S-C. All of these, then I did another one, which was another requirement. It was another psychological test. Oh man, I can't remember that one. And it has 4. Anyway, all of these tests were required before they place you in a position. And I was like, the police department did the same thing because they did the Briggs-Myers test. All of these tests was about the psychology of the self. Because corporate America knows that if you don't know yourself, how the hell are you going to know anyone else? So I couldn't define the essence of my personality. And all of these tests I took were great. They were personality tests. They had nothing to do with purpose. So I found out my personality. And I think it came up, I was a popular sanguine. But it didn't tell me nothing about my motivated abilities pattern. It did not tell me anything about my motivated abilities payment. So everybody gets paid by something other than paper. You use the paper to buy your motivated abilities payment. So I had no idea I get paid because I'm a carer. I'm a 6. That's why I do Dick and reports. So anytime I can help somebody, dopamine. If you're a 1, anytime you can lead somebody, dopamine. If you're a 2, anytime that you can verify something without studying something, dopamine. If you know shit without studying, if you got a gut feeling that, the stock market is going to crash and then tomorrow the stock market crash, dopamine is released in your brain if you're a 2. Me? They're going to do nothing for me. Precognition if you're a 2. If you're a 3, the ability to create shit out of thin air, dopamine. If you're a 4, stability. That's when my wife looks at me and she's like, you crazy as hell. You going to do what? If you ain't got no 401k, you ain't got no health insurance, you just willy-nilly. What the hell are you doing? That's reckless. But she's a 4. The only thing that matters is stability. And I'm a 3. I'm a 6, really, but I'm 3, 3, 6. So I got 2 scoops of 3s and big helping a 6. So if you're a 4, everybody that's not stable is crazy to you. You look at people like, what the? Your dopamine is released. You know how many people that don't know that? Could you imagine if you had an 18-year-old, especially if you got an 18-year-old black son, and you tell him what drives him unconsciously, the Negro will never be broke because he knows the secret to wealth. This should be mandatory. What I do should be mandatory in the world. Every kid before he graduates should know himself so he can't be taught by anyone else. That's why the prison is full of people. I never met a man in prison who knew his purpose. Ever. I've never met a man in prison, or a woman, by the way, I work in the female prison too, who could tell me, Doc, I'm put on this planet by God to do blank. I don't have to go to school for it. I just know this shit internally. It comes easy for me like breathing. That's how research comes to be. If you're 5, like I was telling my daughter Sade yesterday, Sade is a 325. She texted me after the show yesterday, crying, and like, damn, Dad, you told me this before, but I keep forgetting it. The devil keeps tripping me up because he messes with my peace. Because she's juggling all this stuff, and she won't tell nobody, but she's pregnant again, which, I mean, they want another child, and that's awesome. I get another grandbaby. And her peace is disturbed. So she doesn't feel like a 5. What is 5? 5s are free spirits. 5s are the most dangerous people on earth. They are change agents. I remember dating a woman that was a 5. That was crazy. Because as soon as they get comfortable, they tear it down and do it all over again. My daughter, Sade, that's why I take my hat off to my little son-in-law. He called me, oh, Mr. Rogers, your daughter. Damn. And Sade is a phallic female. Kind of my fault because I raised her that way. To see through all men's bullshit. So Sade is a woman. Very attractive woman. But she knows all the men's games. So no man can run game. So she tells my little son-in-law the shit he's doing before he's doing it. And he calls me, Mr. Rogers, I don't, your daughter, man, she's like, he gets frustrated. I said, bro, I understand, just don't put her hands on you, man. But she know your shit, though. Because I told her all men's secrets. But I told all my daughters that. I taught them how men think. But Sade is not only a 5, she's born in October. Damn. October is the month of emotional imbalance. So she's like the wind, emotionally and physically. So what does she have to do? The reason that Sade is successful is because I taught her how to balance her emotions and how to establish stability. Because it doesn't come natural. So she's balancing herself, not she's successful. Same thing I did. Now I'm a 6. So I'm a born carer. I care. I used to, man, when I was a little kid, that's why I used to love pets. I used to be on my grandmother's porch playing with the dogs. I used to love animals. Every Sunday I used to be at my grandmother's house watching Mutual of Omaha. I used to be pissed off because the adults would come in and change the channel. Boy, get your ass outside with the kids to go play. And I just love, to this day, I get on TikTok, and I'm on TikTok for hours watching lions fighting hyenas. Because of the detail. Remember, caring means love. Love means detail. I'm a very detailed. That's what makes me a good cop. So what is my motivatability subject? Details. So how do I feel like, when does dopamine release in my brain? When I find out shit that nobody else knows. That's why I got $100,000 to anybody that can prove me wrong. I've been saying that shit for 20 years. Can't nobody prove me wrong. Why? I'm designed by God not to be proved wrong. So what do you got to do, though? You got to keep studying because guess what? Science changed as the sayings change. So I know that. That's why I wrote the book. That's why I'm doing a light show. That's what light is. But what is true today may not be true tomorrow. Why? Somebody going to come out and say something and it's going to change the science to match the script. So we got mass consciousness. If you are a 7, 7 is the number of intellect that comes from analyzation. 7s are good analysts. So that's their motivated abilities payment. That's how they get paid. If you give a 7 some money, it doesn't mean shit to them. You got to give them something to analyze. So what if you're 7 and you grow up packing boxes at a warehouse? You don't analyze shit. You just back labor. What if you do like I was doing when I was working at UPS?
throwing boxes in the back of a truck and then driving around and jump out the car, running, jump on somebody's door, doing that. That required no research. There was no detail. There was no esoteric shit. I could not talk to the boxes and share them and tell them, look what I found. I researched it. I spent all night, 8 hours, researching the esoteric hidden meaning of blank. The boxes did not respond. So guess what? I quit. And then everybody said, "Don't you quit UPS? Are you serious? I got a job at the post office." I quit. I've had jobs, good jobs. I quit all of them. Why? No payoff. No dopamine is released in my brain when I'm freaking packing a box. So what if you got a little son, he go get a job, and little Johnny, he comes home and says, "Mama, I don't like my job." And you beat the snot out of him because he quit. Man, that's the mistake that I made with my first 2 kids, man. I damn near stuffed out their little drive because I didn't know shit about identifying a man and a woman's design. That's why if you got children, nothing on earth matters until you can speak life into your children instead of death. This is a death cult. The whole planet kills dreams. Go to college. What is that? Ain't shit. It's just a dream killer. Everybody I know, people with degrees, they go to college, they get a degree, they go to the job, they get off their job, and they can't wait till Friday and wait till payday to go do what? Their purpose. People are living their entire lives. They got mad money. But look at their bodies. Look at their minds. Look at the quality of life. I'm sitting in my drawers in my office, happy as a lizard on a hot rock. No, I may not have no private jet, but all my bills is paid, boo-boo. I'm not interested in going out and trying to be no billionaire. If the shit happens, great. I'm tied to the process, not the destination. Let me say the secret sauce again. Solve problems by being in a state that is the natural emanation of that problem. I got to close by saying something that's a little controversial. A lot of people inborn, predetermined. The Bible says that you've been predestined. I don't know why I say this to Christians, and everything I say comes from the Bible, and they don't get it. Triggers, emotional reactions are dependent upon whether other people or circumstances collide with and accommodate your current habit pattern. Let me say this again. Triggers, emotional triggers, means that you are experiencing, you are living, you are being something that is colliding with and it's not accommodating your God-given talent. There are people that is look me in the eyes. I've told them, this is your motivated abilities pattern. And we did 7, then we do 8. 8. I didn't do 8 as executive. Finally, my son Kendrick got us from UT Austin. He hated it. Every job he's had, he hated. He finally got a job making like mad money. Boys is like, man, ladies, if you got boys, you gonna need a lot of grace because we just don't get it. The shit, the light does not turn on. Men, we just slow as hell. Finally, my son Kenneth, he's an 8. I've been telling him all his life. He hates. Most people hate their gift. It is the craziest shit I've ever seen. He's an executive. Kendrick has always made good decisions. So he doesn't like the fact that all of his friends would go out and get drunk and they give the keys to their car to him. He went to Europe. He called us in the airport crying because he came home with his friends. He left them. They came home. He fell asleep. They couldn't get in, so they was locked out of the house while they was over in Europe. Number one, I told him, he'll say for another time. He's the only black guy. All Caucasians, their level of expectation is not the same as yours. Black folks, we'd have went on the bang of the window until your ass woke up. We'd have called your phone and blew it up. You'd have got up. Well, the little white kids, they call their mom and dad. Obviously, the mom and dad, the little white kid's parents thought he did the shit on purpose. He's the only black kid with a bunch of white kids over in Europe. He calls me crying because they're upset. Because he's the only one in the group that's responsible. And he wonders why people always do Shamora's guardian angel. When Shamora died, man, it was rough for Kendrick. It's still rough for him. Because his whole identity was Shamora's guardian. Everywhere Shamora went, you saw Kendrick. All the teachers said that that's the best brother they've ever seen. In elementary school, they told him that. He was born making good decisions. So what did he do? He got tired and he said, Dad, like I did, he started making bad decisions on purpose. You go out and just do crazy stuff, like bunchies, like white folk stuff. Like, kid, if you know you black, right? He told me that he wasn't black, that he went to UT Austin. They told him, your ass is black. He started getting a little of that good old Austin welcome aboard, that good old boy treatment. What am I saying? You can't run from your guilt, man. Further, he embraced it. Now he's a supervisor because he's an 8. That's what 8s are. They're executives. They run shit. So if you're an 8, you're supposed to be in charge. You're an executive. You're supposed to execute. And if you're 9, you're royalty. 9 means royalty. It means sophistication. You just, you just glamorous. You just extra. So what if you don't want to be extra and you're a 9? This is the shit that's happening. There are people who design to love. They said, Doc, I'm tired of getting pissed on, man. I ain't loving nobody else. Your ass gonna be broke. The only way you can be broke is you rejecting your gift. Because money flows to me easily and effortlessly from all directions, all the time. Because I'm operating in line with my God-given design. I've been working 10, 15 years when I just align my mind with my God-given design. What does that mean? You got to identify yourself the way God identifies you. You're going to be just like me. I really don't like the number 6. Because in the hood, you're weak. A nice guy, y'all know what I'm saying, nice guys always finish last. So I purposely do bad shit so that way people don't know I'm a 6. Because 6 is the upside down 9. 6 is the number of a pregnant female. 6 is really the number of a feminized male. 6 is the number of a beta male, not an alpha male. Thankfully, I was born, I'm a Virgo, but really, according to the original zodiac, I'm a Leo. So if you guys read my book, the 13th zodiac sign, Ophiuchus, and if you go by those dates, you probably are not who you think you are. So I know that I am a leader. That's why I'm leading. But I also know, because I defined and I no longer call myself a carer. I don't care about nobody. None of you people on this call, it just sounds weird, right when you say it. I'm teaching Dr. Span. It's hard for us 60s. Because if you ever look at the word C-A-R-E, like the Care Bears, the Care Bears, all them little mother beats were evil. The word care means a state of mind in which one is greatly troubled, worried, and anxious. What the? I'm like, God, why would you do that? Why would you? He said, That's not what the word 6 means. So I had to go and do what I'm designed to do. Do you know what the real meaning of the numbers are? So I told you the internet shit. So if you go on the internet, you'll find what I just said. If you go to the life management system, let me close with the secret sauce that you can't find on the internet. If you are a 1 You are verbal expression. You ain't no damn leader. You supposed to be doing what I'm doing. If you are a 2, you are a initiative of psychic proportions. What that means? You are a inward creator. If you are a 2 and you are listening to me right now, you are holding on to shit that nobody else knows. God gives it to 2s first. They know shit without studying, but all 2s don't trust themselves. So they wait. If I was a 2 can, for example, play the stock market. They can play the lottery. Why? They got intuition. The number 2 means knowing without study. But it means inward creation. I create with the shit that already exists. 2s create with shit that's not even here. But most 2s, that inward creation, that means that there's a bunch of other non-creators inside there too. You got a bunch of voices in your head, you don't know which one to listen to. But if 2s could ever figure it out, use their intuition, look at the word intuition. That means that your tuition is inside of you. Now, you can go to school for free. That's why you know all that stuff, if you're a 2. Number 3 means artistic imagination. Notice it's the same thing as the word creation, but what I did was what I'm good at. What am I good at? Details. So I went into the details. So the internet tells you the surface, because the internet, they want you to enter the net. That's why this is a planned net. It's a plan to keep your ass in the net. They don't want you to get out untangled. See, I got out of the net. The only way to get out of the net, if you're a 3, is to use your artistic image to create a nation. Ooh, that's some deep shit right there. I can preach on that one for a while. Why? Because I'm a 3. All my numbers are divisible by 3. We'll break that down later. If you are 4, it doesn't really mean stability. You know what 4 means? 4 means manual skill. I was wondering, as soon as my wife gets off, she runs outside and put her hands in the dirt. Do you know that my wife, every house repair that's needed, she did. My neighbor looked at me. My neighbor asked me one time, said, "Man, you don't have your wife climb that tree again?" I said, "Bruh, I don't know. She smokes some good shit, dude. She wants to climb a tree. She wants to cut it. I'm gonna do the grass. I go out there, I hit a lawnmower. She's out there cutting the grass. She said, "Babe, I want to redo the yard." I said, "No problem." I go by the landscaping stuff. I said, "Okay, we're going to do it on Saturday, right?" Okay, Saturday morning, we'll go out there and we're going to redo the front yard. Friday night, she's out there, the whole yard's done. She got to put a manual. That's the 4. Now, that creates foundation, though. So what I'm going behind the scenes, 5. 5 means free, right? I talked about my daughter. She's a 5, free spirit, like the wind. How you get that way? Assertive. 5 means assertiveness. That's your payout. If you ever hang out with my daughter, Sade, for 5 minutes, she's real bossy. Everybody running, that's why she runs shit. That's why her second business is called Boss Lady. Boss woman, boss something. Why? Assertive. 6, you know what 6 means? It doesn't mean care. It doesn't mean compassion. Woo, this blew my cookies. 6 means love of beauty. Man, this gets my black ass in trouble all the time. When I see a beautiful woman, it's raps. I'm very careful around beautiful women because I'm designed by God to notice beauty in all things. Why do you think I'm driving around and everywhere I go in my car, it's not because it's a vet. It's because the color and the wood. That's why I bought that particular vet. No other vet has the red paintings on the side. It's not a grand sport. It's very sleek. It's beautiful to me. 6 means love. So that's what compassion is. That's what caring is. It's a love of beauty. That's why I get real upset when a house is dirty. That's why I'm anal retentive. That's why I'm a perfectionist. That's why it's really hard to live with me. That's why usually I'm doing my own thing and my wife's doing her own thing. Because we can come together, but we can't hang out together too long. It's not a bad thing. It actually works out pretty good. Because I love beauty. I can't do, like, shit that look good. 7. 7 is not intelligence, and it's not analyzing. You know what 7 really is? 7 is the sympathetic path, or sympathy. Now, out of all the stuff I just said, 7 is the number of intellect. But the thing that makes people intellectual and smart is sympathy. That one took me a while to uncover. Because I couldn't tie in sympathy, but 7s are so smart because they have the ability to feel and to agree with the feelings. So 7s have something that is really unique. That's why I like 7s, but it's also a flaw. Because what 7s are called lone wolves. If you are a 7, you probably single. And you probably spend a lot of time by yourself. Why? Because you are overwhelmed. You're an empath. And you can feel everybody's feelings. And if you hang around a bunch of people who are depressed and angry, your ass is going to be depressed and angry. So 7s are sympathetic. That's what makes them intelligent or energetic. And the 8, the reason that they are good executors is because they are actually intelligent. So an 8 really is a 7 based upon what the internet says. But the 8s get their intellect not from the ability to connect with people at their lowest point. They get their intellect from the ability to see how things work. 8s are system oriented. They're not very good at establishing systems. And 9s are very analytical, which is what most of us think is a 7. So what makes a 9, because remember a 9 means high mind. A 9 on the internet, it means royalty. It's associated with sophistication. But 9s have the ability to analyze. They, similar to what the internet says about a 7, 9s are able to establish a method or process of determine essential features. So 9s are system people. That's what makes them appear very eloquent, very sophisticated, because they can separate things and just promote shit that works. 9s have what is called, that's what 9-ether beings, that's the 9. So 9 is the highest mind because it is able to separate the wheat from the tares. If you're a 9, you can see the wheat from the tares. That's why, could you imagine if you are a parent and you know all your children's numbers? Did you know how to parent each child? You know that you can't parent a 9 the same way you parent a 6. You can't say to a 1 who is a natural born verbally expressive, you got a 1, that's gonna be the child that's gonna give you a run for your money. How do I know? My granddaughter Sienna is a 1. She's been in, I don't know how much she's been kicked out of every daycare she's been in. She loves from grandpa. Because I be saving her from getting her ass beat all the time. Because when God was upset and he's getting ready to hold up, Charlie calls his dad, this is his dad. You can't talk to him this time, dad. I say, put Sienna on the phone. She said, yes, Papa. I said, Sienna, I know you're bored. I know you know and feel like you should be up there teaching. It's not your time yet, though. But you got to allow the teachers to let them think that they smart. She corrects the teachers and she be right. And the teachers get pissed off, send her to the office. Then they call her Sade. Remember, she's a black kid in pretty much an all-white school. And the good old boys up in Dallas don't like those little smart Negroes. So I got to tell Sienna, hey, Sienna, let me hit you to the game. Massa don't like smart slaves. All the slaves that could read, what happened to them? They got sold or they got that shit beat out of them. So you can't tell everybody you can read. Don't tell Master you can read. Because Sienna just walk around telling everybody, I can read. Meaning I'm smart. I know shit. She was born when she was 3. She would go up there with her mama, Sade, and lead the dance team. And Sade started making her, Sienna, you're not on payroll. Get your ass off and go back over to the kids. And Sade don't tell her that. She's a born leader by God, and she's verbally expressive. So what does she do? When the mama says, Sienna, she talks back. You know what happens to little black kids that talk back? Any black folks on the line? Y'all know what happened to us when we talk back to your parents. Now, if she was a little Caucasian kid, they would just say, Sienna, go to your room. But when you raised by black folks, we don't play that. We don't knock before we go into the kids' room. We be like, Sienna, would you like a talk today? My daughter, she was raised by me. She don't do that. So she called me, Dad, I got 3 belts. And if you don't tell me something good, I'm finna peel Sienna's skin off her back. Because Sade, hold on a minute. Let me talk to my granddaughter. If you know your children's numbers, you will raise gods and goddesses. And we don't have to worry about no damn gun control because there ain't going to be no little 18-year-old kids pissed off because they don't know how to process their emotions. What's wrong with the world is people don't know themselves, so they got to go out and be someone else. And they got to make a name for themselves by doing something crazy. Brothers and sisters, you should have pleasure doing business because it was a pleasure doing today's show. Self-awareness of yourself. Notice it says self-awareness. You have to know yourself. Proper self-identity. You know, so I kind of say that almost every show. Number 2, self-regulation. Just because you can eat a whole box of donuts, maybe you should not eat that whole box, but maybe 2. Save the rest for tomorrow. Self-regulation. And number 3, don't follow the herd. Self-direction. If everybody is a Christian, and the Bible says broad is the road that leads to destruction, narrow is the road that leads to righteousness, I'm not going to be one of those. I mean, it's not rocket science. It says right in the book. See, who you are being is more important than what you are doing. So I'm going to leave you with the $1 billion question. Everybody should write this question down and you should answer it for yourself. And that is, who am I being in this role? This is a game. Y'all know that, right? So you have been cast as a character in a play. Who's your character? Me? I'm playing the character of Dr. Will Rogers, a.k.a. Master Teacher 33. My role is to research it and break it down psychologically and biologically using cosmology, theology, and biology and prove it on all 3 points. And to study and research words at least 7 layers deep. So if you say, Doc, what is a nebula? Well, I'm going to go to Google and I'm going to type in the word nebula. And I'm going to look at the word nebula. And I'm going to see the first definition. Most people are going to go back to their teacher. Teacher, I know what a nebula is. I went to Webster's dictionary and I looked up nebula. And it says a nebula is a interstellar gas and dust ball. Basically, it is a celestial object. Me? That's first base. Next, I'm going to go down to where it says word origin. I'm going to find the Latin, the Greek, and the Aramaic.
where it says N-E-P-H-E-L-E-L. In German, it's N-E-B-E-L, like Nobel. Hey, I'm going to go and I'm going to find all of these underlining words for the one English word, nebula. And guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to look up those words. Then I'm going to look up those. I'm going to do that 7 times because that's the number of completion. And usually, if you ask a child, parents, I just do this all the time. I would ask my, hey, you stole something today? Yes, sir. Why'd you steal it? I found it was on the floor. I know who it was. Why'd you pick it up? If you ask a child 7 times, if you ask yourself something 7 times, you will find the causality of that reality. If you got a money problem, you should ask yourself 7 times, why am I broke? I ain't got no job. That's the one. Why you ain't got no job? Nobody's hiring. Why is nobody's hiring? Current economy. Why is it? If you ask yourself any question 7 times, I guarantee you'll find a solution and you will solve all of your problems. Whether that's the areas of wealth, health, wisdom, or great relationships, it doesn't matter. It's been working for me for 30 plus years. I'm going to keep rolling with it. So, brothers and sisters, I love you. I appreciate you. Hey, everybody, remember tonight we go day 2. Tonight we break down the structure of the letter or number creates the function of the life or body. Woo-wee. Tonight we break down light codes. It's your boy, Dr. Will Rogers, a.k.a. Master Teacher 33. I'm going to stop grinding and shining. Y'all come join me. Because guess what? I'm having pleasure during business. I don't have to wait till Friday to get paid. God bless.